Hey, good morning or afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for watching my channel. So today's topic, you've made the move or you're planning on making the move to the Philippines. You've made that decision. You're pulling the trigger. You're doing it. Congratulations. Now what? What do you do first? What do you do next? I'm going to give you some tips of what I went through almost 2 years ago when I first moved to the Philippines. You got to go through me being from the U.S., I got to go in visa free, and then with a tourist visa, you get to extend for 29 more days after your initial 30 days, and then you can keep extending after that. Your second extension, after your initial 59 days, you have to get an ACR card, which is an Alien Certificate of Registration Identification card. So you get that at the BI, which is the Bureau of Immigration, and that costs you a little bit. But you can keep extending your tourist visa for up to 36 months total. So 3 years, and you don't even have to leave the country for up to 3 years. Now you can leave. But this visa isn't a multi-entry visa. Once you leave, when you come back, that whole process starts over again. Your whole 36 months starts over again. So if you leave before the 36 months are up, you come back, then you've got 30 days free. Then you can extend for another 29, and that whole process, that whole cycle starts over again. So just be aware of that. Now, I'm going to talk to you strictly on a tourist visa because that's what I'm here on. I don't know the intricacies or the details on any other visas. So if you're looking at having another visa, that's something that I can't give you expert advice on. So once you get into the country, what's the first thing? If you're gonna live here, what's the first thing? Well, first of all, I would tell you, visit first for at least a couple of weeks, if not longer, if you can, and visit different areas, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for that beach life, if you're looking for living in the country, in the provinces, or if you're looking for a bigger city life, figure those things out, and then visit those areas, visit a few of those different areas to find out where you want to live. So let's just say you want to live in the city. Okay, let's just use that as an example. Once you've done that visit and you're ready to move here, when you first get here, the first thing on your list is you need to find a place to live. A permanent place, or 6 or 12-month lease type thing. Are you going to live in a condo? Are you going to live in an apartment? Are you going to live in a house? You're going to live in the city? You're going to live just outside the city? What's your choices? What's your options? So the first thing I would do is don't sign anything sight unseen. In other words, don't go by the pictures you see on the website as far as housing, as far as condos or apartments or whatever, because those can be misleading. They always look larger than the actual property is, maybe because they use a different type of lens when they're taking those pictures. I don't know, but they always seem bigger and they always seem nicer. They seem cleaner. So what I would do when you first move here is I would get either an Airbnb or go to agoda.com or somewhere like that, so you can find something relatively cheap within your budget to stay for a week or two, maybe, while you're looking around at your permanent forever home, forever condo or whatever. So you've got a place to stay. You've got a basically headquarters that you can leave your things and go out and look at these places. So when you look at these condos or you look at these apartments, you can actually go to those and look at them personally, so you can make a better judgment, better decision. And I will tell you that Nothing's set in stone. Everything is negotiable here in the Philippines. So if you see a place you like and it's X amount of peso month, and they want 1 month, or they want 1 month in advance and 2 months deposit, and they want 12 post-dated checks, and blah 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 blah. Everything's negotiable. So don't be afraid to negotiate a price or other options. What I've done in the past is, I've come into a place that I really like, but maybe they don't have the internet speed that I wanted, so I've negotiated for a higher speed. Maybe they wanted 2 months deposit, I've negotiated for 1 month. Maybe they wanted 12 post-dated checks, and I've said I don't do checks, I'll do electronic transfer. Some of them will negotiate with you, some of them won't, but there's nothing wrong with walking away from a deal. If it's not something that you are completely comfortable with, feel free to walk away from it, okay? But don't be afraid to negotiate. Don't be afraid to ask, because they're used to it. They're used to that negotiation. It's all part of the culture, and they're used to that, so don't be afraid of that. So find your spot. Find a location that's good for you. If you want convenience where it's close to malls or grocery stores or restaurants or bars or whatever, find those places, but take your time. Don't be in a hurry. And I'll also tell you one thing: don't look at too many places. The mistake I made when I first moved here back in 2022, early 2022, was that I looked at probably 30 condos in the BGC area, and it got to a point where they were all running together, and I couldn't keep track. I couldn't remember which condo had what, and it was a blur after a while. So don't look at too many. I would just keep it under double digits. Keep it under 10 that you look at. Maybe even less than that, maybe 6 or 8, and then make a decision out of those numbers where you want, and then start negotiating from there. So once you find your place, obviously you have to get your budget. You have to figure out your budget. So what kind of money are you going to have coming in? Are you a digital nomad? Are you going to get a steady income from work? Are you retired and on a pension? Are you retired and on Social Security? Or maybe you get veterans benefits. Whatever the case may be, figure out your monthly income that you're going to get, and then work your budget around that. So your biggest expense is going to be your monthly rent if you're planning on renting. If you're planning on buying, that's a whole different thing. I wouldn't buy right away. I would wait to make sure that you're in the right area, because you may live somewhere for 6 months or a year and not like it. And if you're in a lease, you're renting, you can get out of that in that 6-month period or that year period, and you don't have any problems. If you buy a condo, then you're stuck with it. The only way you can get out of it is if you rent it out and then move somewhere else. So I wouldn't buy right away. I would wait until you know for sure. If that's what your end game is, to buy a condo or buy property, then wait. It's not going to hurt you to rent for a year until you find out if this is the place you want to stay. And maybe the Philippines, maybe you'll live here 6 months or a year and realize that, no, the Philippines isn't where I want to be. I want to live somewhere else. So buying is, that would be, you get stuck into something that you might regret down the road. Okay, so you've got your budget set. You're going to rent your condo, let's say, or your apartment, and you're paying X amount of dollars out of your budget. The other thing I would tell you is don't live like you're on vacation. Okay, a lot of people make that mistake when they first move here. It feels like a vacation spot because maybe they've visited here before and they've they've spent money like they're on vacation. Don't make that mistake when you actually move here, because you're going to run into budget problems right off the bat if you do that. Um, Live like you lived in your home country. Uh, do that, because that way you're going to stay within your budget. Okay. Um, that's the biggest advice I can give anybody is um, stay within your budget. Don't live like you're on vacation. Live like you're living your life in your home country. In other words, don't splurge on a lot of things. You know, you're buying souvenirs, you're out with friends, you're buying rounds of drinks and buying their dinners and all that. You're going out every night, you're eating out every night. That will add up very quickly, and your budget's going to be strained drastically if you allow that to happen. So just understand, live within your means, and again, don't live like you're on vacation. Okay. The next thing is finding friends, because if you're coming out here alone, you might have some withdrawals to start with. You might get a little lonely, so find friends. And what I mean by friends is find a group of people that you can relate to that have similar interests and similar ideas. They could be expats. They could be from other countries. They could be from your country. They could be locals. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you find somebody with like interests. And I will tell you that be very careful not to fall into the trap of hanging out with expats that have been here a long, long time and have become sour and negative about living here, because it won't be long before you start becoming them. And that's the worst thing that could happen, is you start living here and become negative and start complaining about everything that you don't like about this country. Yes, you're going to run into some culture shocks. There's going to be some things that you weren't experiencing in your home country. Just understand that you've got to assimilate to the Philippines rather than making the Philippines assimilate to you. Understand that, then the sooner you can understand that and the sooner you buy into that, the better off you're going to be and the happier you're going to be. So find some friends that are positive and that you can get along with. And the best way to do that is, you know, maybe you like going out to the bar and having a drink or two, you know, a beer or two. Strike up a conversation with the guy sitting next to you or whatever. Don't be afraid to start talking, because usually I will tell you that there are a lot of expats that are grumpy old men and they don't like to talk to anybody, and they feel, for whatever reason, they feel threatened when somebody new comes into their town, in their Philippine town. But for the most part, you'll be able to find some people that are easy to talk to and that sort of thing. Join some groups. You know, there's some Facebook groups you can get on that are local to the community in which you're living or you just moved to. So join those groups. Again, be careful, because there are some people on those groups that can be very negative. Just be aware of that. And don't be afraid to talk and make friends with local Filipinos, because they can be the best friends you'll ever have. So don't just limit yourself to making friends with somebody from, you know, people from your country or foreigners. You know, expand your base, expand your friendship circle, but have some, you know, have just a tight knit group of close people that you are friends with. So that's one thing to do. Just, you know, make friends so you're not lonely. The next thing is, if you're here, if you come here alone, you're single, and you're looking for love. Once you're here, that's probably the best thing to do, rather than looking for love before you get here. Once you get here, then you can get on those dating sites. There's, you know, I posted a video earlier about my top 5 dating sites. I'll post that at the end of this video, so you can check that out. It's trends in dating, so check that out. But get on those dating sites or just go out and meet people. It's so easy. Just strike up a conversation with a Filipina that you find attractive. Maybe they're working at a retail store, or you see them at lunch or dinner. Maybe they work for a call center or something like that. So don't be afraid just to say hi. And I'll tell you what I did when I first started dating here is when I'm walking, I like to say hi to people as they go by. And if I make eye contact with a pretty Filipina, I would say hi, and they would say hi back. And then if I notice in their face that there looked like there might be some interest or a connection, after I walk by, I'll turn around, and if they turn around and look back at me, then that's like your green light, guys. So go back and strike up a conversation, and in that conversation, you can ask them their name, you can tell them your name, ask them where where they live or what they do for work, or if they work, or where they're going. And then you can ask them for a number if you want, or they might not be so willing to give their number, but they may be willing to give their Facebook Messenger. So I always say they like WhatsApp, so get a WhatsApp app here, and I'll tell you the apps that you need to get before the end of this video. But ask them what their WhatsApp number is, and they usually can give that to you. And if you have one, it's real easy to get their number. But don't be afraid to say hi to somebody as you're passing by, or you're in public somewhere. That's the best way to meet people, because they're not scammers. They're real. Some of those dating sites, you're not sure if those pictures are real or if they're real, and it could be some dude in their mom's basement pretending to be a Filipina. You just never know until you actually meet them. So, and I will tell you, on those dating sites, if you are striking up a conversation with someone, the first thing to do is, if they're serious about maybe talking more to you, or maybe meeting you, get a video chat with them as soon as possible. That way they're legit. Okay, so that's the best way to if you're looking for love, just talk to them, and maybe ask them out for a coffee or a juice, or even a drink or something, or or dinner or lunch or something like that when they've got some time off. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to just walk up to a pretty Filipina and say hi and strike up a conversation. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say hi back to you, and they're willing to talk to you. So look for love. Avoid boredom. Before I get to that point, let me talk about some of the apps you need. You need a Grab app, so it's easier to get around. Grab is like the Asian version of Uber. So they've got Grab, which are vehicles, cars that you can get a ride in. They've got taxis here, but there's no app for that. But you can also get Joyride. That's another way to get around here in the Philippines. Joyride has a motorcycle option and a car option. So if you don't mind riding on the back of a motorcycle, it's super cheap to get around. It's a little hairy, in the traffic sometimes, but these guys are pretty good at driving around, so I wouldn't worry too much. But if you're a little nervous about that, use the car app. And then they've got Anchus, which is a motorcycle only app, but super cheap to get around. Taxis are a good way to get around too. I will tell you though, be careful if you're in some of the areas that the club areas or the red light district areas, and it's late at night, and you get a taxi pull up on you to give you a ride. I would be a little leery. If you're traveling somewhere late at night, I would order the Grab instead of a taxi. During the day, taxis are fine. Always make sure though that you make sure they use their meter. Don't let them try to charge you extra in a bulk rate. Other apps to get, WhatsApp is a good phone app to get, because then you don't have to pay if you've got your phone. You don't have to pay for any international phone charges. You can contact them. You can message them on those apps. Facebook Messenger is another good one. Viber. Some of them use Viber. Some of them use Telegram. Some of them in other Asian countries use Line, like in Vietnam and Thailand, they use an app called Line. So those are some of the other apps that are good for you to get. Grab's good too because you can order food on Grab as well as getting your rides that way. So other things is Gcash. Gcash is an app that you need to get. It's so hard to get verified. It takes forever to get verified. So as soon as you get into the country, start working on your verification. But once you get Gcash, it's kind of a cashless option to pay for things. You can load money on that. You can load your SIM card loads on that. So if you get a SIM card, that's always a good thing to do. If you don't have I have an international plan for my cell phone, and the data is pretty good here. Once in a while it can be kind of spotty, but it's pretty good. So I don't have a real issue, but I do have a Filipino phone too, a Philippine phone. So you can get a SIM card for that. You can get prepaid or postpaid. The prepaid is you just pay as you go. The postpaid is like you would at the States. You're making a monthly payment, and you get data with that. So, you can get your SIM card for that. So those are some of the apps that I would definitely get when I first moved here. There's some others too. You can comment on the comments below if you are using some other apps that are really good. I'm probably missing some, just not thinking about it. But anyway, so that's always good. And then the boredom thing. Avoid boredom. Find a hobby. Go out with friends. Enjoy different things, because if you don't have friends, you don't have a hobby, and you're just sitting there, you're going to fall into a depression, and it's not going to be good. Even though you might have been depressed where you come from, and you came here to get away from that. If you come out here and you're going to do the same thing that you did where you came from, you're still going to be depressed. You're going to be sad and lonely. So go out and find people with similar likes and enjoy life. Just don't fall into a depression. If you're working, that's great. I worked until the beginning of 2023, and then my job ended and I just retired. And I got bored, to be honest with you. I got bored because I've been working for all my adult life. And, when you're working all day, every day almost, when that stops, you're wondering what to do, and you start getting bored. So that's why I created this YouTube channel to help me. And it's been kind of a full-time job for me, and it's been fun. So do something that you enjoy, go golfing or join a club where you're playing pool or something like that, or anything. But do something that you like and keeps you busy and keeps you happy. That's the main thing, and above all, just enjoy being here, because you're going to love the life here. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more laid back. You're not going to have a lot of things to worry about. You'll find some beautiful Filipina here, and a lot of people that are just super friendly. And like they say here in the islands, mabuhay, live life, and until next time, you have a great time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.